Good afternoon, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Planning Commission of the Canyon City for February 16th, 2016. Denise, can you call roll, please?
Good evening. Chairperson Grantham,
Here.
Commissioner Bellantoni,
Chairman, for the record, Ms. Bellantoni is present in the hearing room, but she is functioning not as a commission member, but as an applicant tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Commissioner Martino,
Here.
Commissioner Ledoux, Commissioner Dunderman,
Here.
Commissioner Embry,
Here.
Commissioner Maloney,
Here.
and Commissioner Councilmember Gill.
Here.
Can we stand to say the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I'd like to welcome new members, Commissioner Ledoux and Commissioner Maloney. It's great to have you guys aboard.
Thank you.
We need to approve the minutes from our last Planning Commission meeting held on November 17th, 2015. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Motion has been moved.
A second.
Motion has been seconded. Denise, can you call roll, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Embry,
Aye.
Commissioner Martino,
Aye.
Chairperson Grantham,
Aye.
Commissioner Ledoux, Commissioner Dunderman,
Aye.
Commissioner Maloney.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing for the zoning change on 731 Woodlawn. The provisions of the Canyon City Municipal Code, and in particular Title 17 thereof, the subdivision and development regulations, and the comprehensive plan of the City of Canyon City are incorporated into the record of this hearing as set forth verbatim. Terry, proof of notice, please.
Yes, sir. Written notice was mailed to all property owners within 300 feet, and the property was posted at least 15 days prior to this public hearing, as required.
Thank you. Would the applicant please come forward and identify yourself for the record and state your request?
May I come forth from here?
Yes, you may.
Yes. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Angela Bellantoni, and my husband Lynn Winters and I are the proud owners of 731 Woodlawn. And I'm sure that you all read your packets, so in order not to be redundant, I'm not going to read that to you.
Thank you.
And I can do.
Ms. Bellantoni, make sure you also talk into your mic, please.
I want you to hear that. This is our castle at 731 Woodlawn. And to be honest, when we first set eyes on it, we had visions of just remodeling and adding a room here and making it a beautiful Victorian something right there on the corner and keep the heritage, the whole 9 yards. Then we called the realtor and got the key to go inside, and I walked inside and walked back out again and took a shower once I got home. It was just, it's crumbling inside, and it isn't really not repairable. It's actually got holes in the floors in the bathrooms, and it's in a sad state. But we are here because we still have faith in this corner of Canyon City and are requesting a zone change to R2. We have studied the community extensively in the process of providing Ms. Bernath the 300-foot notice, which is a big list. Also looked at the assessed values of the surrounding properties, and there is a challenge in this neighborhood because it is expensive to build. And to build a home that would, like an R1 home, that would fit in with the values of the community, because my father always said, don't own the most expensive building on the block. Wish I'd listened. It would be very difficult to build a quality, beautiful home that fits with the community. And so that an alternative to that was the other challenge we have in our community is an inventory of rental properties, and it seems to always be in need. And so the thought was, should this commission, this body, and the council decide to grant us a zone change, we would contribute to that inventory by building a duplex. And as you saw, as I know you all read and memorized your packets, there is a duplex to the north. It's an adjoining property. So it is right there on the R2, R1 interface. There's a duplex right to the north of the property. And so we thought it was a good solution. This is also, sure you also looked at your subdivision map from 1890 and saw that this is a very large lot, which gives plenty of space for side yards and setbacks, which was another draw for us to purchase this property, that it was a nice lot, because there are other challenged properties in our community that just don't have this nice size. Oh, I have more than one picture. Here's one picture, and here's the east side of the building. You can see it there.
Are there any questions from the commissioners to Ms. Bellantoni?
I guess I have a question.
Go ahead.
So do you have any pictures of the design of what you're going to build?
Not yet,
Okay.
Commissioner Maloney, and it's that in the event you choose to not approve this, not recommend approval to the council, then we're going to have to go down a different path. So we're just not at the point of investing that kind of capital at this point. We have an idea, but that's all it is right now. Kind of like the master plan, it's an idea.
So I know the answer to this, but it would be an aesthetically pleasing structure, landscaping, et cetera. Just guessing.
Absolutely.
That's all I have.
Mr. Havens?
Go ahead with the commission.
Oh.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Higgins.
I just had one question, and that is, I didn't memorize your packet, although it was an enjoyable read. Would you state for the record what you believe the appropriate grounds are for rezoning this property from R1 to R2?
I believe that the grounds justification for the zoning change is that the area for which rezoning is requested has changed or is changing to such a degree that is in the public interest to encourage a redevelopment of the area.
You and staff are on the same page with respect to the grounds for the zoning change.
Are we on the same?
Yes, we are.
Commissioner Martino?
My question is, you're going to knock this building down, and how far back is the structure going to be from, say, from the sidewalk?
We will meet all the setbacks established in your code,
Well, the
whatever
reason
that
I
is.
asked that, and excuse me, the reason I asked that, over on the corner of 9th and Fairview, there's a duplex built there, and they are right on the sidewalk practically. They got no front yard. And to me, it looked a little bit, I don't know, just looks like they just were right on top of the street when they built this.
Okay, that's an existing structure. We have to meet the current code, both building and zoning code.
Right. I understand that, but I was just kind of curious. The reason I looked at that piece of property is that's where I grew up. And I wanted to knock that house down and build. And at the time when I was told there had to be a remaining wall from the old structure to build, and at that time I could touch the house to the east, plus my folks' house, and I could basically do this and touch both houses. And so anyway, we never did build, of course, but then the duplex was built there, and to me, it just doesn't look very good to me, but I'm sure your plan will be much better because the duplex in behind looks very nice, I thought.
I have one other question. So can you go to the other picture you have? I'm guessing you would be in an R2 allowed to build a 2-story structure. Is that correct? I'm asking, are you building a single level, planning on building a single level?
In all respect, we haven't really decided, but there are 2 stories in the area.
There are,
No,
okay.
yeah, we have not decided structure yet, but there is plenty of, the lot is large. As a matter of fact, we also considered subdividing it into 2 lots, but then that's too small. That would just be too crowded. So we left it with the 1 lot and hoping to go R2. So there's plenty of space for a single level structure as a duplex with plenty of space for side
Okay.
yards and setbacks.
I guess I asked if any of the neighbors that you had contacted had any opinion on a single level or a 2-story structure.
Terry?
Oh, we had several inquiries, but no one talked about that at all,
Okay,
really.
okay, that's all.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner?
Yeah, the inquiries, were they just kind of asking what was going on?
Yes, they were, in general, they wanted to know where the property was. Had one person who had a rental to the west of this property, next door.
Okay.
His is also a rental, and he wanted to know how it would affect his property values. And truthfully, I can't answer a question like that, but I did tell him that it was going to be a tear down, new construction, and would meet all of our building and zoning codes.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Ledoux?
You state that the area is changing to such a degree that is in the public interest to redevelop. Can you discuss your vision of what, or how and why it is changing?
Because of the need for rental property and multifamily rental property and better use of the lot. That's pretty much it, Commissioner Ledoux.
Any questions of staff, commissioners? Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to address the commissioners on this zoning change? Seeing none,
Excuse me, may I
Yeah.
make a comment?
of course.
And I would like to respond to Mr. Ledoux's question as well. As we had, I had talked about prior to this, actually, this was actually a question from a commissioner prior to this meeting about an area being changing to such a degree that redevelopment is appropriate. An area may be many contiguous parcels, and in that case, more than likely, there could be many applicants, or it could even be the jurisdiction that suggests that a rezoning is appropriate. In this particular case, an individual may come to the governing body and ask for a rezoning for that same reason and use that justification. And from at least my experience here, there are some changes that are occurring in this older part of the north part of town where we see many properties in this condition that may be appropriate to redevelop now. It may not be the whole swath of the whole neighborhood, but in this particular case, because the property meets the R2 minimum requirements for lot area, and because it is adjacent to other R2, it would then be appropriate for rezoning. If it was a standalone piece of property in the middle of R1, very possibly not. Does that help with the justification? Does that make sense?
Terry, I have a question for you. I know there was a mass zoning change back years ago for people allowed to change from one zone to another. Is this one of the areas where that rezoning was to take place if people asked to be changed?
That actually, those rezonings happened all over the city. But yes, this area also experienced that, and that was where there were places that were changed from R1 to R2. That property just to the north of this property was one of those. And then a new zone district, R1A, came into effect, and many properties in this area also, which is small lot residential, those were rezoned as well, so.
Mr. Avens?
If I may add to that, the purpose for the large rezoning initiated by the city was primarily, as was just stated, to incorporate into the city the R1A zoning. Duplexes, which existed but appeared to be there notwithstanding zoning, were those targeted by staff with a reminder to the property owners, here's a chance to get your structure into the proper zoning. And I think most of the duplex changes happened for that reason and not for others. In response to the earlier question, it's pretty typical where we've got a situation such as this, where R1 housing borders R2, that over time, as neighborhoods mature and sometimes begin the deterioration process, that the natural move is toward R2 housing to replace the older R1 housing. And I think this is a classic example of what happens in many cities and ought to happen here.
Thanks, sir. Is there anybody else wishing to address the commission? Seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and call for a motion and a second of the finding of facts.
I'll go ahead.
Commissioner Dunderman?
I'd like to make a motion to pass and recommend that the 731 Woodlawn Avenue be changed to an R2.
Could we back up a step and make findings first?
Yes, sir.
But if I could refer you to your findings of fact and advisory report,
Right.
we will want to make the motions off of that particular item. Mr. Dunderman, if you would like to make that motion number 1, you can read right after that.
Okay. So I make a motion, the findings should be made, make a motion, the finding of the facts, correct?
Yes, you could start with the Canyon City Planning Commission.
Start right there.
Motion 1, the Canyon City Planning Commission, upon conducting a public hearing on the above captioned zone change request, and after considering the testimony presented by the applicant, city staff, and other interested parties, finds as follows. 1, the land and the zoning and the rezoned was land to be, I'm sorry.
Okay. I think, based on our discussion, the criteria is number 2. If you wish to find something else, you may do so. But our discussion centered around the criteria of number 2. So that's the one you would want to
Right.
do.
Go directly there. if you wish.
Directly to number 2, the area for which rezoning is requested has changed or is changing to such a degree that it is in the public interest to encourage a redevelopment of the area.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Embry. Denise, can you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Dunderman,
Aye.
Commissioner Embry,
Aye.
Chairperson Grantham,
Aye.
Commissioner Martino,
Aye.
Commissioner Ledoux,
Aye.
Commissioner Maloney.
Aye.
Thank you, Denise. Can I have a call for a motion and a second for recommendations? Commissioner Embry?
Based upon the above findings of fact, the Canyon City Planning Commission hereby makes the following recommendation to the Council of the City of Canyon City: approval of the request for rezoning.
There's been an approval of the request. Is there a second?
A second.
Commissioner Maloney? Denise, it's been moved and seconded. Can you call roll, please?
Commissioner Embry,
Aye.
Commissioner Maloney,
Aye.
Chairperson Grantham,
Aye.
Commissioner Martino,
Aye.
Commissioner Ledoux.
Aye.
Commissioner Denderman.
Aye.
Thank you. And here concludes our meeting of the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Congratulations.